Okay, now we're live. Hello, my friends. Happy afternoon, depending on where in the world you are. Good morning, happy afternoon, happy evening. I haven't checked in with you in a while, and that is because, if you've probably seen, I have opened as of this year a second business. It's called the Southwest Dietitian Group, and my brain is about to explode today. I finally finished our Medicare application, and I'm writing some appeals letters for Cigna and United Healthcare. Good news is we just got our I just got an Aetna contract, so if there's anybody who has Aetna that wants to test the waters with me, let me know. So, as you know, you're here because of the pizza and carrot method training, and it has begun. I have some really awesome plans for you and the new year. You're in the community, and there is a Community Plus package and offering that I am bringing to you probably, I wanted to get it started this February, so it'll be starting probably mid-February, if not March, and we're going to start having some quarterly in-person meetings. I'm going to get you some more video training, more mindset tools, some meal plans, just things to really bring us together that much more for support and community. And New Aria will always mean our behavior change education. So there's good plans for you, and I am always present here in the group. I'll be starting lives and give you the schedule for Facebook Lives every single month. And if you have any Q&As, pop them in as well. I want to share with you that's what this video is for. I wanted to come on, and Anna in our group had posted what I'm going to call a Q for a question, and I want to provide an A or an answer for you. And I'm going to break it down. I know all of us, you know my story, so you know that I've struggled with this as well. And then became a dietitian after 14 years to figure it all out, but I know that it resonates with you too. So here's the Q. She says, I need to learn how to make good health more important. I want to stop feeling like healthy eating is torture or punishment for eating badly. So much judgment, and it never feels good. I want to learn to enjoy a piece of cake without spiraling down to eat the whole cake or feeling guilty for eating any at all. So let's break it down. And I made some notes, and this isn't just for you because you are in a very like-minded community. And when I say like-minded, we're all here because we think the same. Right? Like our physical habits, maybe we share some physical habits that are the same, maybe wanted or unwanted. We eat too much or too much sugar, whatever those things are, but it's we share the same ways of thinking, this all or nothing thinking. We share the same habits of emotion. So we're more deeply connected in this group than we would like to believe, and so that's why I want to bring us together more. We're actually, I do have an office now in downtown Gilbert, Arizona, so our quarterly meetings will be held there if you're in the Community Plus, which is the next level. It's a subscription that's starting mid-month for $44 a month, and you'll get more information on that. Anyhow, let's dive into this. I'm going to break it apart. So here's what I really want you to hear. If this resonates with you, then what I really want you to hear is choice. That's what I want you to hear is choice, the power of choice. That's what's wrapped into here. So let's break it down for a second and talk about a few things. The first thing she says is, I need to learn how to make good health more important. So now we're looking at the importance of my health. Our world has changed in the past 3 years in a big way. All of our values have changed probably in a big way. People are quitting their jobs, and there's divorces happening, and there's so much change that's happening in the world. There's a lot of poor mental health that's happening now, and our values are changing. And I think it's important for us to stop and to really reassess what those personal values are to us. And those personal values, if you're unsure of your personal values, I want you to think back to a time when you felt most, fill in your own word here, you felt most in flow, you felt most in sync, you felt your best. You had the most energy, your mind was thinking right, you were in a kind of a peak state, of a flow state when things were going well. So maybe you've never had that experience before, maybe you've had the experience and it was very fleeting, even if it was a couple hours. And when you start to look back at those kind of peak experiences, you can start to look for trends in how they felt, to start to explore what is most important to you. For example, freedom for me is pretty dang important. Freedom of my time. And when I look back into when I was either traveling or why I like wineries so much and vineyards, why I feel most alive in some of those places, those peak performance or those peak states for you have clues about your own personal values. And is a personal value for us our health? Is that a value for us? And if being around for your children and your grandchildren and your great grandchildren are important, then your health is a priority. Then your health is, I should say, a value. Maybe it's not a priority yet, but it's a value to you, because in order to be around for a long time, putting our valuing our health is important if we want to accomplish that goal. So number one, I want you to look at your values and what are your personal values. Feel free to share those in the comments below if you know what your personal values are and maybe how they've changed. Now, something to know when we have identified what those personal values are to us, oftentimes it's very common when we feel resistance or friction in our lives to be living separate from our values systems, to be living opposite of what we value most. When our actions, our behaviors, our habits of thinking, and our habits of emotion, when they are not aligned with our values, there is resistance and friction, and we feel it. We feel quite literally out of alignment with who we really are. And it's something that becomes very strong in us, and we have that sense. And the wider the gap becomes, the more friction that comes. And if you're one of those people who don't like to feel things that you don't like to feel, and you sweep them under the rug, then we just go eat more food, creating a larger and larger and larger gap between who we really are and where we are now, creating more resistance and a larger separation from really actually living in alignment with our own values. So it can be painful to live out of alignment with our values. Now, it's also important to note that the brain, from a very basic standpoint of how we think, we make decisions, and what drives us into action, right? Over here, we've got our values. Maybe our actions and the way we think are either out of alignment or in alignment with our values. So let's look at our actions. Our actions, what is going to drive us into taking action? Only two things: pain and pleasure. Pain and pleasure. That's it. We only take action because of pain and pleasure. Now, maybe what gets you started on a path like all or nothing dieting is the pain of where you're at now. And then because the habits have never changed, the thinking has never changed, we never sustain the all-in effort that we take in order to get there. Even though it's pleasurable, the results on the scale that we're seeing, it's still the pain that's driving us. So either pain or pleasure is going to drive us into action. And for long-term sustainable change, we want pleasure to eventually drive us there. And there's lots of things that you could do with your habit change to be able to make that happen. And our actions, lastly, is a very important question to ask is, what am I most committed to? What am I most committed to? What am I most committed to? If you don't know what you're most deeply committed to, look at your choices. Not just your choices in your behaviors, as in what you choose, but look deeply at the choices in behavior, as in picking up the cookie or the apple, and the choices in how you think, the choices towards self-punishment, towards judgment, or towards self-compassion. Because those are choices too. They're not physical behavior choices. They're thought choices. Should we choose judgment, self-punishment, and should that thought be stronger to us, it's still serving us in some way. For us to put that thought down and choose self-compassion, which ultimately can act as the bridge to our wisdom, the stuff you really want, the person who lives in alignment with their values, then we can start to live in alignment with those values. Should we choose to put that down is when we quite literally start practicing neuroplasticity and start creating new neural pathways. But sometimes we can look at it as, well, what am I, it's the power of our choice. What am I choosing? Am I choosing the thought that's in alignment or out of alignment? And if it's too much, if there's too much resistance and we can't put down the thought that is out of alignment, the self-judgment thought, the self-punishing thought, then in some way we're still committed to it. In some way it's still serving us. In some way it is driving our actions from a place of deep pain. And when we can choose the, say, self-compassionate thought instead and start practicing that, then that's when the other becomes less and the self-compassion becomes more. And therefore, because you know, or you wouldn't be here, our thinking aligns our emotion, aligns our behavior, then we can start to make choices that are in alignment with our values, with what we're really wanting. It's interesting how we can truly become addicted to self-judgment and self-punishment. If there's trauma to still work through, get a therapist, still work through that. Hands down, work through it. At some point, if you've been through therapy for many, many years and it's time to move forward, at some point it's a cellular addiction. At some point, your cells are just getting this hit of dopamine every time that you give in to the self-punishment and self-judgment. It's just addiction. It's thought addiction. Just like we can become addicted to candy bars. So the power of choice is very important in this question. Understanding not just that we can choose our value system, right? We can choose our value system. We can choose our actions. We can choose our thoughts. We can even choose our emotions, and we can choose our beliefs. This ultimately puts you in authentic, true control, knowing that everything is a choice. Everything is a choice. Now, I don't say that lightly. I don't say that like, oh, just make another choice. It's not that easy. I get it. I get it. But I do want you to become self-aware enough to understand that you are making a choice. And because every moment is a new moment, you have the power to make a new choice. If all you do from this new awareness is to understand that I am choosing that I am choosing the cookie, I am choosing the self-judgment, I am choosing to place my actions outside of alignment with my values, I am choosing that, you are growing, you are evolving, and you are making forward progress on this journey. Anna says, so much judgment, the next piece. So much judgment. I want to stop feeling like healthy eating is torture or punishment for eating so badly. So much judgment and it never feels good. I want to learn to enjoy a piece of cake without spiraling down to eat the whole cake or feeling guilty for eating any at all. Facts, feelings. Facts, feelings. Right? What the power of choice right now is factual. The power of choice is fact. This is what you are choosing. That is a fact. That is not an emotion. That is a fact. And then you have feelings around your factual choices. The more that you can stop crossing these lines in your head about facts and feelings and getting these two straight, the more awareness you're going to have. Next, it's funny, I just had a client this afternoon, and as everyone remains anonymous, so I'll share with you. This is really, really common. This is a kind of a fun practice that you can do. So it's very common to feel deprivation and restriction when it's like, oh, I need to cut out sugar to lose the weight. And then you cut out the sugar and you feel super deprived and you use your willpower and then you fall into chocolate cake by Friday. So here's how I want you to think about it. Maybe this shows up in other areas too, like maybe it's your finances. And so there's some crossover. There's some crossover things that you can do, exercises that you can do. And so again, the power of choice. this is a visual representation of the power of choice, and this might be fun and helpful for you. So we were just talking about this client cannot eat gluten, and she knows that it hurts her body when she eats gluten. So we have a stepping stone. Now, you know, you're working your stepping stones, and your stepping stones, her stepping stone was 3 gluten-filled dinners a week. Okay, so I wanted her to pretend she's got 3 tickets to the circus. There are 3. You get into a circus or a fair, and you get 3 tickets, right? 3 tickets, and you spend those 3 tickets in 1 week, and you get 3 gluten tickets. And now whether you physically have this or not, this is a good visual representation. So we've got 3 mason jars, right? 3 mason jars, 3 tickets. Now, these 3 mason jars represent your choices. The first jar says, eat the gluten and enjoy it. The second mason jar says, not sure yet. I'm not sure. I can't make a decision yet for right now. And the third jar says, invest in my weight loss and not eat the gluten. Okay, these are choices, 3 choices I can make. Eat the gluten, enjoy it, or decide later, or invest this ticket into my weight loss and not the gluten. 3 tickets a week, and I get to choose where I want to put those tickets, right? Those are choices. You get to choose if you want to put that gluten ticket in the eat it, enjoy it bucket. You get to choose if you're like, I just don't know right now, can't make a decision, couldn't go in the I don't know, and then I can invest it later. Or I'm going to invest this ticket, not eat the gluten, and invest it into my weight loss, because I know that helps my weight loss. That's not for you. I'm not saying gluten. I'm not saying you have to cut out gluten. I'm using this as an example for a very specific person. So take it as an example. The point being is that last note on this cue here says, I want to learn to enjoy a piece of cake without spiraling down to eat the whole cake or feeling guilty for eating any of it. Choice. We have 3 choices when it comes to eating the piece of cake. Eat it and feel uber guilty for it, probably induce the stress response when I'm actually eating it, and beat myself up for eating it. Option 2, eat the cake and enjoy it. Option 3, don't eat the cake. You can't make a wrong decision. You can't. You can't make a wrong decision. You can't. You're making a decision. This is a fact, and it is a decision you made. Now, this decision may or may not be in alignment with your values. This decision this action may be driven by pleasure or pain. This decision is going to be an indication of what you are most committed to, but it is just a decision. It is just a choice, knowing that you always have a different choice that you can make. And that choice, if we want it to be more in alignment with our values, with what we are wanting in our new life circumstance, in my experience, self-compassion is the bridge to your wisdom. And wisdom knows all the years that you have been alive and that you have worked your tail off in life to understand what you want and what you don't want, has developed your wisdom. All of your experiences, everything you've been through, there is a wise version of you. And so that wise version of you has a body, it has emotions, it has thoughts that makes a set of actions and choices on its own. There maybe is an old traumatized version of you. There's a personality version of you. There's all these aspects to you that you have lived your life that has developed this sense of wisdom inside of you. And so if you find yourself in the aspect of you that beats you up all the time, that judges itself, that doesn't believe in its self-worth, that feels guilty or shameful, understanding that self-compassion is the bridge back to wisdom. And so every time that we are implementing a stepping stone, this is the reason that we are gathered here. You know, based upon your pizza and carrot method training, you know that stepping stones are just the beginning. Habit change is just the beginning, because in order for those stepping stones to be implemented and measured consistently on a regular basis, What has to happen is the development of new ways of thinking and deep inner habits like the self-compassion, self-resiliency, self-direction, and all of those things that's going to get you to where you want to go. So that is the Q, that is the A to the Q. And I hope that was helpful for you in some meaningful way, because I'm sure that it was for a lot of people here. And it sounds like, based upon when I took some notes based upon your Q, the overarching message that I think could be very helpful for you is to go into your next day, I could say hour, day, week, month, and start recognizing, without changing anything, start recognizing that every action you take, every thought you think, every emotion you feel is a choice that you're making. And if you judge your choices, that's when it gets a little sticky. That's when it feels a little icky and a little full of resistance. You can make a new choice, because every moment is a new moment. I believe in you more than you know. Love you guys so much. Thank you for being here.